Hello there, Ray here, and the latest snapshot 18W31A is out. This one comes with some major new features as well as many bug fixes. The first feature with 31A is that it is now possible to get bone meal from fish drops. So there's a 5% chance that cod, pufferfish, salmon, as well as tropical fish will be able to drop one piece of bone meal. This is a really big deal because it's going to open up the windows of possibilities what can be done in Minecraft. For the longest time you had to take the bones, take your time to craft them down into bone meal. Now you can just get these from these fish drops, meaning it's infinitely automatic source of bone meal. This really opens up the possibilities to making stuff infinitely automatic. So I can turn my sea pickle farm that I made into infinitely automatic, or like even like my seed grass farm, as well as many other farms like your typical grass and flower farms to be infinitely automatic. This means that you just don't have to take time to do anything once you have started it up. And once you have started up, it should be able to continue on without any new input from the player. I'm going to have a lot of fun trying to make some types of fish farms that allow us to collect this bone meal in large amounts so that we can use it for other farms, as well as upgrading other farms so that they will be infinitely automatic. Another big change that they did is that now it's possible to get a chance of getting coral to be spawned in when bone milling inside of a warm ocean. If I bone milled this sand here, you see that I got some seagrass, which is normal, and also got some coral. So you see all the different type of coral plants I got there. This means that these coral plants are now a renewable resource in Minecraft. So you can use any silk touch, like here I have an axe or even like a pickaxe, and you can collect these items. You can make an automatic coral plant farm, similar to what I did with my seagrass farm, using a dispenser plus some bone meal in it and powering it underneath the water. Another big change is that squid will only spawn inside of ocean types as well as rivers. You can no longer go into deserts and just create a spot where there's very little water and put in some water so that the squid will be concentrated in that one area. Now the best solution will try to be looking for a river or ocean that's kind of isolated, maybe a river that goes through like a desert, and then use that to make a squid farm. They changed some features about conduit. Now, before you would be able to put it in water, but if you would use like sponge beside it, it would not remove the water inside of the conduit. And I explained this as a bug. A lot of you guys didn't understand why this was a bug. You guys thought this was a feature. The reason why I thought it was a bug is because it wasn't consistent with other things. But first, let me show you that when you put a sponge beside it, it will remove the water from the conduit. And if you look at it with F3, it will also show that in the top right-hand corner, it's showing here that it is a conduit that is waterlogged. Now, the reason why I said this was a bug because it wasn't consistent with other behavior, such as coral, which has to be placed inside of water. You can't place it on dry land. And when a sponge is beside it, it will also remove the water inside of it, and it just happens to also destroy the block as well. So that's a kind of behavior you would expect when you see conduit as well. Otherwise, what would happen, you could remove an area with water, and then the conduit would keep its water, and then it would spill back over top again. They added a new command somewhat similar to the Bedrock edition. With this one, it's called chunk, allows you to load chunks that are far away. So with this command, we do chunk and then in, and this is what dimension it's inside of, and then we force. This is the chunk number that we're forcing to be loaded off in the distance. Now I couldn't quite get this to work because I went to this coordinates and I put down another command block that is just saying stuff in the chat, but you can't see it saying anything. So I might have not did it quite right, but this would be useful for testing stuff in creative. Now they also said they have optimized the performance of the game, so hopefully you guys will notice a difference. Now they also did a bunch of bug fixes, which we'll go into next. A highly demanded bug to be fixed was this one, which was Observer's cooldown was broken, and as you can see now it's working, so he's sending some fast pulse through this repeater, going through this observer, and they're being sent out this side. Now before, what was happening is that the cooldown of this would happen really quickly, so it's constantly sending pulses over here every time this repeater turned on as well as off. So now this also fixed block dropping with observer, so if we give a 2 redstone tick pulse into this, then this will still allow the observer to give only a 2 game tick pulse into this piston. So if you flick that, you'll see that it'll be able to drop its blocks. I'm really glad they fixed this, and hopefully this will allow more people to be able to upgrade to 1.13 and play it, and their farms won't be broken. The last snapshot, they were doing some changes to pistons and also made this weird bug where if you would zero tick a sticky piston, it would create a pretty much a piston that had 2 heads. It would have the head here as well as extended, and it gets stuck that way. And this is just a simple zero tick generator that I came up with. Pretty much what happens is that this piston here is being butted by this redstone block, and this piston here is being butted by this redstone block. And if you would update this piston, then it's going to extend, and then this would pull the power up. So if you just do this, you can see that it will zero tick this block in front of it, and yeah, it doesn't break it. They fixed another bug to do with pistons that was just recently added in the previous snapshot, which caused some things to break. And essentially what was happening is that pistons weren't being able to extend after being moved themselves for a longer period of time than what they should be. So something like this would act differently, but now you can see that this one will extend and also get the full power of being able to retract as well. Another bug that was also introduced in last snapshot, which was causing some types of redstone components to be budded on the on state, was fixed as well. They fixed another bug that was introduced in the last snapshot as well, which is when pistons would retract, their one game ticks too slow, and they have now fixed this, which means that instant wire will now work again. They fixed an exploit that allowed players to be able to kick other players off multiplayer servers. So in creative, it's possible to make the old TNT that has the unstable tag like this. This allows it so if you would right click this, or if you would actually left click this or do the tack button, this would allow you to break the block and cause it to ignite, kind of like it was way back in the day. The problem was that when you do this also in creative, it was also allowing it to ignite as well, so you weren't able to destroy it. But I can just show you what it looks like. If I try to break this block, instead of breaking, it ignites and it will blow up. That seems to be a bug. It doesn't actually... Oh, it clips to the ground. And it destroys blocks and then they regenerate? Okay, that doesn't make any sense. They fixed a bug where iron golems, when they would spawn from a village, would be able to spawn in midair. They fixed a really old bug. This is actually called MC Bug 73, so way back in the day. And this bug was to do with maps. So when you would put a map into an item frame, you can see that now there is a green dot to where that map is. And if you would remove that map, the green dot would still stay on it. But now you can see updates, so there's no longer a green dot on your map. There was some visual problems with maps. If you would like turn off your screen stuff, it could go from like light to dark. And we looked at this previously, and now they have fixed it. They fixed another funny bug that I showed before in the past, which is if you would sit beside a spawner and then you would die, pretty much your character would end up in this death screen here. And in this death screen, you can still activate this spawner. Now this bug was actually fixed earlier in the snapshots because we tested it with some of the moderators of the bug tracker, but apparently it somehow came back. But yeah, now they have fixed it so that no longer will be able to spawn mobs if you're in the death screen like this. We actually used this method during our Halloween event to collect all those rare mobs during Halloween. So we had one player sit here and he actually died and he was still able to keep the area loaded with the mob spawners. But it seems that the player will still keep the chunks around him loaded when he's dead. So if you would happen to die, you would keep your items loaded and therefore they could possibly despawn. There was a bug that I brought to attention of the moderators, which was if you have a world and you rename it, it won't be able to update the name until you leave the menu and come back into it. You can see this has been fixed. The game now keeps track of how many banners as well as beds you break. They also fixed a couple bugs to do with crashing as well as memory leaks, so hopefully this will allow it so you don't encounter these problems. They also fixed some less noticeable bugs that you can check out down in the link in the description. I'm excited for the new features as well as the bug fixes that came out with 31.8. So I'd like to thank you for watching, and if you found this interesting, show me to like and share this with others. If you'd like to see more snapshot reviews as well as other inventions that come with the 1.13, be sure to subscribe and hit that bell button, and tell me what you guys think about this snapshot down in the comments. Bye-bye!